I want to take a moment to remind everyone about the biggest deception being perpetrated on the human race. No one talks about it because people don't believe it could be real: rapid human cloning. From this deception, every other deception is made possible. The information I share comes directly from Judith's telepathic Pleiadian contact. It can't be researched on the internet. This information will contradict other information you've heard. But if you consider what I'm saying, it will make more sense than anything else. First, a reminder that years before any conspiracy theorists talked about doubles or actors in masks, I was here talking about cloning. Still, many people reject this information because it's too strange. Truth is stranger than fiction, but it is because fiction is obliged to stick to possibilities. Truth isn't. Mark Twain. Rapid cloning was given to the US military in the 1950s by Zeta Grays on behalf of negative Orion reptilians. The military-industrial complex is controlled by a satanic cabal that allowed elites to use this technology to their advantage. From a person's DNA, they can grow a duplicate body in 5 months. They can transfer memories to a clone body and program it with speech patterns and mannerisms. The clone is a biological duplicate without DNA, without the ability to reproduce, sometimes with added technology. A clone is not an exact match, because our appearance is a result of both genetics and years of experiences in life. There are physical differences between the clones. The first celebrities were cloned for financial gain in the 1970s, and it spread to in the 1990s. By the 2000s, it was everywhere in media and industry. It started with the military and is done in black site NSA facilities worldwide. Only black hats use cloning, never white hats. It's about money and control. There are many A-list celebrities that use clones in movies or to perform on stage. Not everyone who uses clones is a Satanist. Some were just tricked into thinking they could achieve immortality. Some good people have been replaced with evil clones. In the modern era, there have been many secretists, and the cabal uses clones to replace their own. Nobody will disclose cloning because it's too hard for regular people to believe. There is no show of white hats using doubles or clones. White hats arrest. Black hats replace their own. No one wants to tell us the truth, for different reasons. People like Trump have hinted about it, saying that people like Biden, Xi, and Putin are different men and look different. Doesn't know he's alive or using words like puppet. There are many clones dispersed through the populations of many countries, who are very docile and obedient citizens. This is what the cabal wants for the planet. The black and bruised eyes can signify cloning updates. They connect technology to the brain through the eye and transfer new information to the clone. Only important clones in media or industry are updated. They still use the eye. But now some clones are updated through their foot. This is why some notable people wear orthopedic boots or are seen limping. Cloning doesn't involve parasites called vril. This is fiction introduced by someone named Donald Marshall. It's a completely technological process. The vril narrative just makes cloning harder to believe. The clone is never the original person. Humans are souls and clones are soulless. There can be clones alongside a living person, or replacing the original person. The soul is always with the original body. There is no consciousness transfer. Your consciousness resides with your soul. It cannot be put into another body by humans. The clone is always a separate person. Only memories can be transferred. To my knowledge, Pleiadians are the only source who have accurately disclosed rapid human cloning. The disclosure community has become an echo chamber of fake information, with no discernment about the sources. Joe Biden is a clone. The original was executed. The Obamas are cloned. The Clintons are cloned. If only the truthers understood most of these people have already been removed, they could find more peace. Joe Biden was an old man, and the process of cloning an old man over and over produces only senile clones. There are no actors trying to entertain us, and no white hats giving away secret plans. The hardest part is understanding there won't be any public announcement about cloning or mass arrests until the shift. None of this can be known before ascension because it would lead to mass chaos and violence worldwide. The flip side of this is that Galactic Federation is allowing dark forces to lie to us because they want us to awaken to the deception on our own. This reality is a test. We always have moral free will whether or not we have secret disclosure information. Clones won't shift because clones aren't real people with souls. When the shift happens, this reality will be only evil people and clones. A new transhumanist world order will take over this 3D Earth, while ascended humans live in paradise on the parallel 5D Earth. Sheen. By Kabamur. Next message: clones and AI. The human race has had our DNA manipulated, altered and split in two to change our entire species' genetic makeup. Clones are a genetic creation that run on an artificial program AI, artificial intelligence. Clones, because of their genetically modified makeup, will suffer serious health conditions and neurological problems that eventually ends them. This is what I believe has happened to the Greys. I believe they found out that you cannot mesh a biological form with artificial intelligence and thrive. The only outcome is destruction. The high-level science of genetics on planet Earth, meaning the Cabal Dark Forces working in their underground labs or DUMBs, are and have been doing some extremely highly advanced cloning of our race for thousands of years. This very sinister program genetically modifies the human to work on a completely artificial frequency based solely on artificial intelligence. Very dangerous. This dark cabal has been manufacturing clones of all sorts of people, dark forces and celebrities, military, anyone who can be useful to replace and fulfill the agenda they want. These clones are controlled by a central AI that works with a transmitter that receives information through a chip which is neurologically connected to their brain. This central AI controls these clones equally, like as in a hive mind, which I've talked about before. These clones have memories and reactions downloaded into them based on the original person who they are cloning. Meaning, they study the original person whose mental profile they have downloaded into an advanced supercomputer and is implanted in their clone as a program. These clones work through an AI signal. When the internal program in these clones do not give, let's say, the correct answer or the desired reaction, it can be accessed through that signal from a central AI computer. Although these clones do learn new things over time from experiences, but it's of a very limited nature. The signal that controls these clones is transmitted by the cell phone network and other high-energy transmitters that are placed at key points around the world. The signal is accessed and controlled by a supercomputer called Red Queen, which is located under the Denver airport. There are other independently nodes, as they call them, around the world, but these subordinate nodes are always coordinated by the Red Queen or Central. This AI of the Red Queen works independently, making its own decisions and acting without any control of a human being. This Red Queen has not only the clones under its control, but also extremely high-tech war robots manufactured mostly by DARPA and unmanned drone aircraft, which is strongly armed. The Red Queen can also take control over any modern computerized vehicle such as a car, airplane, whether it's military or civilian, ship or submarine. These clones can be manufactured to be exactly the same as the original and can be modified according to their needs. These clones are not perfect and are plagued with problems. They can also make an artificial person that does not represent any real human, and that creation is made with the manufacturer's specifications according to their purpose and the task they will perform. These clones are high-level people, leaders of large companies, celebrities, dark forces. Some of these clones are used to carry out murders, suicide missions, and dark forces coups. When these clones are being harassed and suffering ridicule at the hands of an irate population, usually the original has already had the opportunity to flee. False flags and attacks on our schools, malls, and public places are where clones are used. Clones of children and babies are also being created on a large scale to be used in satanic rituals to their archon gods. Celebrities, men and women, also are cloned equally and sold to the elites as slaves and sex slaves. These clones vary widely in pricing according to the profession. Many of these children are created and sold as sex toys to these elites of the cabal. Most of these clones are based on real people and they retain part of their personalities, but they are downloaded with an extra program to make them more complacent. These clones tend to have serious neurological problems. The longer the gestation period, meaning the length of time given in their formation, the greater the total stability of the clones will be, which increases its price. The cheaper ones will only work well for a couple weeks. These cheap clones are the ones used in suicide missions and are often disposable for a single use. They have a very limited lifetime. The most expensive clones are those that take 3 to 5 months to be formed. The clones that are created for sexual slavery prices vary between $20,000 and $50,000 hence, rising in price according to specifications. The most expensive ones exceed $500,000. All are available only to the elites, and the public remains completely ignorant of this issue. Most of the public does have knowledge of cloning animals, etc. But they are kept in the dark of how advanced this cloning process really is. They also make clones of real people for the purpose of organ transplants. If the original person does not obey the cabal's wishes and revolts against them, they will use their clone, creating a remote torture situation that the original person will perceive and suffer greatly. But the clone is tortured instead of the original, all through AI signal. The creation of the clones in our current human society is very large and extensive, and it's progressively increasing and reaching levels of invasion. These clones are part of what they call unreal people of the Matrix. These clones are progressively leaking into the entire human society, from the highest rungs down little by little, as a silent invasion. This is the scary part for an everyday human. Today, any person in the public can be abducted by the cabal in a traditional kidnapping or by a high-tech military ship in the service of the cabal, generally of the triangular type, either a TR-3A or a TR-3B. This is usually called an abduction of the Milib type. If this person is of interest to them and being very influential to the masses, they will be cloned and eventually replaced by their clone. In many cases, only the people closest to that clone person will realize something strange has happened to them. So much of society is ignorant to the level of the cloning of the human race really is. This artificial creation of the human race is infiltrating all levels of society throughout the world. This invasion of artificial intelligence has a purpose for total planetary assimilation. Look what they're trying to do to the human race. As far as programming us to be obedient little robots, it's all for the purpose of control. This invasion of AI is not of terrestrial origin and operates independently and does not need any operator or programmer. It has already achieved independence and the ability to be self-conscious, but lacks all empathy and is only interested in absolute power and control overall. We've all heard of the implementation of the chip to everyday human beings. They tell you it will make things easier and try to sell it as convenience, but what few people don't know is it's all to control your consciousness and behavior. This chip will manipulate your emotions and behavior with a signal received through that chip by a cellular frequency which affects the brain. This signal or frequency can also send a secretion of psychotropic substances or nanobots into your bloodstream, making you obey this external controller. Besides manipulating the behavior of a specific individual, this signal can send a frequency to cause a disease, such as cancer and even death. Refuse the chip at all costs. Modern smartphones are also being used for the purpose of the manipulation of behavior in the population by emitting specific frequencies that match the brain waves of those within the radius of that frequency being sent. It causes changes to your behavior, moods, and neurological problems such as epilepsies and seizures. Keep them away from you as much as you can. Believe me, that's easier said than done. Specific frequencies are designed to affect the cerebral cortex in our brains. This technology is already being used on a large scale, transmitted from the Twin Towers. This technology is also being used on the battlefield. This use of weaponized frequency can modify the behavior of the enemy. It causes feelings of terror, and it implants ideas that they will take on as their own. It also causes them to feel doubt. Keep your frequency as high as possible to keep these negative events caused by negative frequencies from altering your experiences. These psychopaths want to alter your consciousness through frequency, so by keeping a high vibration, a high state of awareness is your best bet. By Terry Wade.